So what would it take to arm TSA agents, and is it in our best interest?
Business ethics expert Dr. Wendy Patrick is here tonight to talk about the ethics and practicality of such a move. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you. Seems like we only see each other when there's bad news.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does. And certainly some bad news here. Airports have what they call so-called security soft spots. Do we need more plainclothes and uniformed police officers in the airports, or should we consider arming TSA agents?
Well, it's an interesting two-part question. So the first part is, do we need more security officers that are armed, and do they need to be undercover? One of the answers that you're hearing now from the LAX crew is we want more prominently displayed law enforcement officers in the airport. We want to increase the profile of the presence, both beneath, behind, and in front, and even out to the curb to try to dissuade this kind of activity. So then the second question is, are we going to arm TSA officers? Well, TSA officers aren't law enforcement. They didn't apply for law enforcement jobs, and they don't have the background, training, experience, and qualifications of an armed law enforcement officer. Federal air marshals are armed, but aside from them, you know, the rest of them are agents or screeners. So is that a good idea? We'll have to look at, you know, not only the logistics, but the budget in hiring a new set of officers that actually can qualify to be armed.
And considering how things are going with the budget, it doesn't seem like that's a likely option. What about a deterrent, though, by having uniformed officers maybe at the baggage claim and in some other prominent areas where a lot of these employees are vulnerable, and they're maybe the first people that come in contact with these crazies, and they're always going to be crazies. Is that a good enough deterrent?
Well, that's what LAX has really been doing in increasing the profile, is having these roving patrols. That actually was implemented a while ago, not just since the shooting. But the point of the roving patrol is to have a presence in baggage claim and other areas. And as far as weak spots go, you're hearing that term used a lot in the last couple of days. Are there any weak spots? The weak spots are because a couple of law enforcement agents can't watch everyone. If we all were vigilant and really committed to being attentive in the airport, there'd be far less weak spots, not because we've got a couple of behavioral specialists that can have eyes everywhere at once, but because there'd be more eyes open and attentive and paying attention to our surroundings.
Wouldn't it just make more sense to have uniformed police officers stationed throughout the airport full-time at the TSA check-in sites there, as well as other parts in the terminal? Because when you talk about arming TSA agents, again, that comes under the law enforcement branch, and that costs a lot of money, as we mentioned.
It does, and your point is a great one, is why don't we simply, you know, collaborate more with local agencies? That's what they've been doing, and some of them rove around, some of them stay where they are. One of the moves that we've heard a lot about at LAX was moving them from behind security to in front of security, where there's obviously more of a risk. Now they're talking about moving them out towards the curb, but really, I mean, we can't ever have a fail-safe perimeter. You could move security a mile away and there'd still be a vulnerable area behind, you know, a mile away from the airport. So we do the best we can with the employees we have, and it's a matter of not only collaboration, but really sort of thinking through this as a balancing test. Is it cost prohibitive, and is it really going to do more to deter crime? Or somebody like this that's intent on doing what he's going to do regardless of how many armed security officers we had.
And we really have to keep things in perspective. I mean, the TSA has been around for more than a decade, and this is the first incident like this involving a shooting. And tragic as it is.
That's true. Since it was implemented in 2001, Agent Hernandez sadly is the first.
Yeah. All right. Dr. Wendy Patrick, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Good information.
Thank you.